President Joe Biden has announced a plan to reduce the number of unvaccinated Americans. It would require some regulatory initiatives, administrative actions, some other policy changes to make that happen. And the goal is to implement some federal requirements to get vaccines into arms. There are about 80 million individuals that have not yet received their first COVID shot. If they did, they could join the more than 179 million fully vaccinated Americans across the country. The requirements outlined by President Joe Biden hit a couple different categories of worker. The first is large companies. The requirements coming out of the White House say they would require all employers with 100 or more employees to either get a vaccinated workforce or implement weekly tests. And it's the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, that is developing a rule that would require this. It would impact about 80 million workers that are in this large employer workforce sector. The next requirement is for federal workers and contractors. It builds on President Joe Biden's July announcement to vaccinate the federal workforce. President Joe Biden has signed an executive order that takes that a step further and requires all federal executive branch workers to be vaccinated. But we also said contractors as well. If you are an employee of a contractor that does business with the federal government, this means Department of Defense, Department of Veterans Affairs, Indian Health Services, National Institute of Health, you will be required to get vaccinated. And this, again, impacts millions of people, about 2.5 million individuals. The next category of worker is healthcare worker. The requirements would require COVID vaccines for healthcare workers that are in Medicare and Medicaid participating hospitals and other healthcare settings. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is taking action to require COVID vaccinations for workers in most healthcare settings that receive Medicare or Medicaid reimbursements. And this could include hospitals, but also dialysis facilities, ambulatory surgical settings, and home health agencies. And this, again, is building on prior action out of the Biden White House. It builds on the vaccine requirement for nursing facilities that was announced by CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It applies to nursing home staff, clinical staff, individuals providing services under arrangements, also includes volunteers and staff who are not involved in direct patient, resident, or client care. The requirement would apply to about 50,000 providers, impacting about 17 million healthcare workers across the country. Also commented on by the White House are places like entertainment venues. The president said his plan calls on venues like sporting arenas and large concert halls, where large groups of people gather together, to require that their patrons be vaccinated or show a negative test for entry. OSHA is also talking about developing a rule that would require large employers, and that again is for 100 or plus employees, to provide paid time off for workers to actually go get vaccinated. If you are looking for how to find a vaccine close to you, vaccines.gov is your resource. We'll link to that and some other resources in the description below. Also, more information coming out of the White House about what's included in these vaccination requirements that President Joe Biden has been announcing.